Hello? You are listening to the voice of Copper Village. Yes, this is me. This is the creator of Copper Village itself. Let me give you a little rundown on the history of Copper Village and why I decided to build it. So it started off in August of 2022. I wasn't doing so well in Novelin. I was constantly losing my items, getting killed by mobs, stuff like that. Of course, back then I didn't know that the server had a shop. So I just did everything by scratch. That is, until I came across a lake. Now, this lake was pretty interesting. It looked really abandoned at first. Nothing much was going on. There was just a few noob shacks here and there scattered about. Just a few abandoned homes, like a random shop. Just blocks scattered all around the place. It was just a big old mess. But then something caught my eye. A copper statue sitting there in the middle of nowhere. Now, this was surprising to me, as I thought that the entirety of the lake was completely abandoned. But since Novelin's render distance is so short, I couldn't see the copper statue. But I did then. So, what did I do next? Well, I decided to build my house right in front of it, right next to it. I made it as a sort of viewing platform for the copper statue. I made, I made it with a massive balcony so players could look at the copper statue itself and see its beauty. However, there was one little problem with that. The copper statue was made by a moderator, and you know how that goes. Well, it didn't really go. It wasn't really that bad. The moderator's name, Riley's Castle, decided to move my house over closer to the shore so that it could be farther away from the statue. So, a new era set in for me. Since I was closer to the shore, that meant I could branch out my builds a bit more. And I could maybe extend my island a little bit. And I didn't really touch the house for a while until about March. Now, before this, I do have to address one thing. There was a neighbor of mine. His name was Aru, or Arubot, and he was planning on building a water dome, right next to my base. So he did, and then he completely abandoned it, and I haven't seen him since. It's just a little detail that I wanted to point out. I really wanted him to get back. Anyway, so in March of 2023, I decided to extend my island. So I extended it a little bit to the left, and I made some little homes for players to claim for themselves as like little apartment buildings, like little condos for them to live in. And then I decided to make a lighthouse. Now, I think I might have built a farm before this, but I'm not sure. I did have a shop actually on the island. It was like this little tower shop thing. It wasn't really that good. It just sold like a few things and that was it. But I did have a small little shop. I demolished that. I made some new shops. But then I started building the lighthouse. It was actually pretty straightforward. I did have to get the shape right. I tried to make it a spiral, but of course that didn't really work. So I just opted for making a linear structure. And it automatically turned into a beauty of a building. I made sure to make it out of the way of the copper statue so that, I didn't get in trouble again. So, with the lighthouse built and my island expanded, I was pretty happy. Then I decided to look towards the shoreline and decided, you know what? These houses right here need a touch up. I'll go ahead and renovate them. This is important later. So I decided to transform about 4 houses. One of them was half built, so I decided to finish it up. If you're wondering, it's the building on the bottom left corner of your screen. And I was pretty happy with all the building transformations. And I was feeling pretty good. But then something dawned on me. You know what? The distance to one part of the island to another is not really that big. Or it's like really hard to go across if you're a new player. And since my village is aimed towards new players, I decided to make a bridge. Needless to say, the bridge was a lot more difficult to make than I thought. It was going smoothly at first. I, got the shape about. I got the outline and everything done. Some players visited. Everything was going well until I got to the cables. Now the cables were chains that I needed to use. I was originally going to use cobblestone walls and fences, but that would have looked ugly, so I just decided to use change. Big mistake. I ended up spending about an entire weekend just placing chains on the bridge, and once it was done, I gotta tell you, it was the most beautiful structure I have ever made in my entire life. The bridge was massive, and you could even see a little bit of it on the right side of your screen. But the bridge spans 118 blocks, I think, from left to right, up to down, and it just looks awesome. It's a suspension bridge, so it isn't like those ugly bridges that just go. They don't have any supports or anything. They're just there. So with the bridge done, I felt pretty good. But then I decided that, since this is a massive bridge and all, I need to have a section where, I have houses and stuff there so that so the bridge doesn't just lead to nowhere. So I decided to renovate a couple houses there, made one into a clock tower. And then I turned back to the other side of my village, and I thought, you know what? This could use a little bit more spice. So I built a church, which you could see on the left side of your screen, and I built some more houses and stuff. I was originally going to have players rent them, but I removed that since the village was an open net, and I didn't want players oogling my base then at that time. I mean, that was a community village, so, you know, but not right now. So, I decided to keep on building more homes. Some homes were in the way, so I renovated them or destroyed them and made them into new homes. Again, this is important later. And I think I made about uh 8 homes. No, 10 homes. Around 10 homes around that time. And I ended up making a port out of an old like platform base. Nice port used for shipping boats, docking boats. Really nice. And then I decided, you know what? Since this village is getting really huge and it's just looking like a whole bunch of houses smashed together, why don't I build a little job site for the areas? So that's what I did. I built a wheat farm, like a little windmill. You can see that on the left side of your screen. And I also built a coal and forest area on the other side of the village. Now, the village was looking really nice now, but I decided to do something even more. I decided to extend my village over to one of the other shores you can see on the top of your screen. I decided to expand my village over to that area, and I decided by building the town hall. Now, the town hall is the biggest non landmark building in the village, like the bridge and the lighthouse. The town hall, aka the Copper Castle, is a building consisting of the main building, which houses the conference room as well as various other rooms, and the tower, which houses the tower. It took me, I think, about a week to make, and it's definitely one of the better projects that I made, especially since it has its own bridge connecting to it, kind of like a mini replica of the big old bridge that I have. I then decided to build a little little commercial area right next to it. So I extended my wall over to have it extend over all the way across until it met Lazy Hills, and then connected it with a bridge. We can see on top of me, there's a little bridge. That's the bridge. And I decided, since it's so steep, since the area is so steep, I decided to make it into a small park instead of having buildings there, because that would just look ugly. So I made a park. I made a little bridge connecting the areas, the two little hills, and I made a waterfall. You could see I put some rocks in. And when I was happy, I decided to work on the commercial area. Now, the commercial area housed the library, the cinema, the clothing store, the restaurant, the saloon, and the shop, which is like a grocery store. And once I was done with that, I thought I was finished with the entire thing. But no. I still had big plans. A few months later, I decided to extend the village out a bit more and make some bigger buildings, bigger homes. So I extended my village over, completely surrounding this settlement called the Kingdom of Prussia. And I definitely went very ambitious because before I built a canal connecting the two parts of the river and the lake. And I wanted to connect my village to that canal. So I decided to just extend all of the peninsula over to the canal. And I completely surrounded the Kingdom of Prussia because the Kingdom of Prussia had a region and I couldn't build on it. So I had to surround it. Now, in my mind, this sounded like a great idea. I was planning on building a museum, some more houses, of course, bigger homes. And of course, I was planning on building some stuff for my canal. But then a problem I ran into a big old problem. While I was renovating a sort of like Skybase home, I asked in chat, "Hey, is renovating homes bannable?" And one player quoted, "Any alterations made to any homes or bases will result in a ban." So I unknowingly was breaking the rules the entire time while renovating the homes and doing all that stuff. Doozy tried to um he tried to revert all my stuff, but since I renovated the homes back in March and April, he couldn't. So we both agreed that I would be banned for the weekend and I wouldn't do that thing again. Now, there was one problem. When I extended the village, there was this wooden shack. It looked like a noob shack from the outside, but it had a massive basement with a lot of stuff in it. And Doozy said that I couldn't renovate the home unless I had permission. So I surrounded the home with some spruce planks, made like a perimeter around the house, and I asked in signs if I could renovate that house. And I didn't get a response for 3 months. And honestly, I think around October or November, I completely gave up on the village. I didn't want to see it again. I died and lost all my stuff, which made it even worse. So I almost completely left Novelin after that. But then, a couple weeks ago in December, I decided to, for one, solve the problem that has been haunting me for like the past 3 or 4 months, and for two, finally finish Copper Village. So, what I did was I came up with a new plan. The perimeter was going to be a lot smaller, not intersecting the house that was previously a problem. So now the house is not inside my village. I'm sorry. I'm a bit sick. I'm so sorry. And so I got to work. I shrunk the fence, the wall down, and I got building. Now, around that time, I only finished 2 houses, but I added an additional 4 homes, which brought me to a total of 6 big homes, and I was happy. So then, I made a road going along the edge of the peninsula as to not interrupt any buildings, and I eventually met the canal. I built a building for that canal. It looks really cool. It's like a docking area. It has some chests and stuff, so like crates and stuff, basically for like trade. And that was that. I added some finishing touches, and that port area of the city was done. Now there's one more thing I needed to tackle. The island that I extended didn't really look like an island per se. It just looked like a cobblestone platform just floating there. So I decided to make it into an island. I removed the farm and the flagpole, and I replaced all the cobblestone on the island with grass, and I extended the island down a bit more with some cobblestone to make it look like it's an actual island and not just a platform off the ground. And when I was finished, I was very, very happy with the results. The beacon didn't get in the way. Oh yeah, I got a beacon. And everything just looked perfect. It looked perfect. So, I did some finishing touches around the village. I added an orange outline to my Copper Village sign, and I added some sea lanterns around the village perimeter so it looked a bit nicer. And that was that. Copper Village was finished. I made an announcement in chat that Copper Village was finished and that a ceremony will be held on January 3rd, 2024. This village was kind of like a test to see how much I could build. Well, of course. But it was really kind of a thing to see if I could really persist in building such a large type of thing. Now, one of the best things that happened was one of the moderators, Dog Giraffe, ended up putting my village on one of the featured dials in Novelin, in the spawn region. So now my village is officially a landmark, which is really exciting. Thank you, Dog Giraffe. And so, as a thank you, I decided to build some mod heads. Some heads of the moderators that changed the village in some way or another. I built a head of Riley's Castle, which was pretty much the driving force behind the entire thing, with the copper statue. I then built Dodge Giraffe because he added my village to the uh, landmarks, and for Doozy for the whole renovation thing. Doozy gave me the okay for my new border, And everything is going well now. The ceremony again will be held on January 3rd. And well, this whole experience has been amazing. The players on Novelin are really nice, really friendly. And well, I think Novelin is probably the best server for me. Even though I've had my ups and downs on the server, it still has a special place in my heart. And I could thank all the nice players for that. Thank you, everybody. To think all of this drama, all of this building, all this stuff happened with just a problematic viewer house on a lake beside a copper statue. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.